Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions 4 p.m. BST on a Tuesday afternoon. The good doctor Ellis Whitehead is back in the building. How are we doing, Ellis?
Doing fine. Had to pull an all-nighter, so my brain's a bit foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. This the woes and pains of dealing with Amazon's APIs.
Yes, that's right.
So do you want to give the audience one little bit of background on yourself and let's quickly give an outline to today. Obviously, it's in the thumbnail and the title about the issues faced with trusting seller unit percentage, and we're going to go through a series of numbers now to show you where these kind of fall over, and then remap these across, giving you some calculations that you could look to on your own account. Would that be a good assessment? Right. All right. Yep. Cool. All right. So what do you want to do? Do you want to give everyone a little bit of background, what you do, etc.? Most people know you are, but for those who don't, please fire away.
Okay, so then just quite quickly, Danny and we founded Databrill, and this is an advertising agency, and I spend basically all my working hours, and that's a lot of working hours, on PPC and trying to do it as intelligently as we can.
Yeah.
And so with regard to this particular topic, one of the things that we often see is people coming onto our agency and saying, but my conversion rates are so high. I have like these 35% conversion rates. Why is it so low with PPC?
Yeah.
And what we've seen in various cases is that the conversion rate that are shown, or the unit session percentage that's shown in the business report, that tends to be a good, typically at least 2 times higher than what we believe it to really be. So this is about taking a look at that, trying to present, some evidence to help convince people who are thinking, no, I really like having my 35% conversion rate. To convince them, no, sorry, that's not true. And to give some like an alternative formula that you can use to really find your conversion rates.
Sounds good. Right, shall we get it up on the screen and then we'll walk it through? Obviously, some of the details are a bit smaller. I don't know if you can enlarge it for those that are watching, and then for those listening back on the podcast, we'll talk about the columns.
Right, we'll have to try.
We'll navigate it for them so they understand. Okay, so let's break this down.
Let's see. Zoom in. So hopefully this is going to...
That should be clear enough for everyone. Yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at 3 separate stores here. I'll get into it a bit later. Some stores don't work for this for various reasons that we can talk about, but we're starting with a few stores. So we're looking first of all at 3 columns from the business report: the sessions numbers, the number total. Let's see, it's the orders. What do they call that in the business report? I have it over here. They call it the total order items. So this isn't the units, it's the total order items. That's the important number here. And then the reported unit session percent. And so, for example, in this case, we're looking at this particular store. For those who can't see, store number 1, we have 3 ASINs. And for the first ASIN, the session unit session percent reports 39%. So that implies a 39% conversion rate. So I'm pretty sure by the end, I'll convince you that this is was inflated, a very much inflated.
It's demonstrably wrong. Yeah. It's a shit show. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we'll show exactly why as well. Whereas in PPC, so these next 3 columns are from the PPC report, where we have the clicks, the orders, and the conversion rate that comes from that, to calculate from that. And there we have an 11.6% conversion rate. So, that's a good almost 4 times difference, 3.5 times difference. Okay, multiplier here, I also calculated 3.37. There's the difference there. So there's something kind of wrong especially when you consider that 1,999 of well, let's look at this in terms of percentage. The percentage of orders that came through PPC was nearly 70%, 67%. And so the remaining 33%, could they really have, boosted up your conversion rate that much? And mathematically, I have it calculated out somewhere else. You'd need to have just a really high conversion rate here. Sometimes, and the reason that we first started looking at this is we started seeing that the conversion rate you have to have on your organic orders would often have to be over 100% in order to end up coming up with a session, unit session percent, given the number of orders we have in PPC.
Well, just as you're saying that, let me just bring in this comment from, it covers you on the screen here. So Tal's left a comment here. We've always just considered the two different conversion rates, unit session percentage, unit divided by session, and order item percentage, order items divided by session, as directionally correct more than the gospel. When the theoretical max conversion rate should be 100%, but we regularly get over 100, we know it's not good numbers. There's also the subscribe and save that will add to that. Got any comments to that?
Definitely. That's all true. We will also mention the subscribe and save. That's part of the formula for correcting and seeing what your real or estimating your organic conversion rate.
Yeah.
So great comment.
Cool.
And so what the thing is, this sessions number, it apparently doesn't. Also poses to a question to your audience, Danny, what they're seeing. As near as I can tell, the sessions percentage does not include PPC clicks, and it doesn't include anything about subscribe and save. And so there are a couple ways that we can then start correcting for us. Whereas orders, it does include PPC orders. And you can also see here in this particular case, we had 9,500 clicks almost from PPC, but only recorded 4,300 sessions. So, that's an indication that PPC clicks are not included among the sessions. And in addition, something I should mention is that we know from lots of data that the average conversion rate on Amazon.com is, I'm talking organic, overall conversion rate is about 10%. And so when you see conversion rates like this unit session percentage of 40%, unless you're in a niche where this is common, and there are a few of them, then it's very unlikely that you have a conversion rate that's 4 times higher than the average. So this PPC conversion rate of 11.6, that seems about typical.
Yeah.
And so we can try correcting these numbers in a couple different ways. So one of them is we might want to get our overall conversion rate, and this would include then, so both organic and PPC together, or we want to find just our organic conversion rate. So these are two different numbers. They might be the same, or they might be very close, or they might be different depending on some factors, and we'll take a look at a few examples if you want. So we can get the corrected conversion rate for your overall by taking the sessions numbers plus the first thing we want to do is we want to take the total number of orders. So we can take that from the business report. That's the total order items column. So we take that, and then we need to divide it not just by the sessions, but by sessions plus clicks. And if we can get in later to subscribe and save. I have another tab here where we have the formulas for that. On this particular tab, in this table, we're not considering subscribe and save. And for this particular store, they don't have any subscribe and save anyway. So you take your orders, and you divide it by sessions plus clicks. And then what that gives us here is an overall conversion rate that's been corrected to 11.9. So now that's down right, super close to our PPC conversion rate, and seems much more realistic. It is much more realistic. Now, if you want to get just the organic out of there, you do the calculation a little bit differently. And so you're going to take your total orders minus the PPC orders. So you now want just your organic orders and just your organic clicks, which is basically the sessions. So you would take orders, your total orders minus your PPC orders, divide it by your sessions, and that should give you your organic conversion rate if you don't have subscribe and save going on. And then here, what we see in this case is the conversion rate is a little bit higher, 12.6. It's still in line with the PPC conversion rate, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's off, but it's close.
Yeah, and it's not unusual. I mean, if PPC will be, the conversion rate will be lower than organic.
Of course.
If you're doing things like auto campaigns or these gold panning sort of campaigns where you're expecting to get a lot of clicks and have a low conversion rate, but the CPC is low enough that it doesn't matter. And so that will bring down your conversion rate for PPC. On the other hand, if you are really focused on top of search for good keywords for yourself, then you might find that your PPC conversion rate is higher than your organic one, because where you're showing up organically isn't as favorable for purchasing behavior. So it can go either way, but usually we're more likely to see lower conversion rates for PPC than organic. And so that follows along with the next two. Here, there's more of a difference between the PPC and organic conversion rates to a certain extent, but nothing tremendous. One of the things that you will notice is that the higher the percentage of orders through PPC are, there'll be the tendency, it's not always the case, there'll be the tendency for this session percentage to be all the more off.
Okay.
And so, you can see that here, the highest percentage of orders through PPC in the first line, 67%, and you have 39% sessions with the factor of, the multiplier of 3.37, and then it goes down for the others. And we have, in the second store, don't want to go into detail on most of these, except just to illustrate, it happens here, and I want to point out one outlier. So your stores, you're likely to have products that kind of don't fall into what you might expect to see from what I just said. I just want to illustrate a few of those cases as well. But for this one, for example, the first row in store 2, we have the unit sessions percentage number at 41%, over 41%. And if a person takes that as their conversion rate, it's wrong. That's, in this case, it's a multiplier of 2.5 times the PPC conversion rate. And this is another case where we're pushing this number of percentage of PPC orders is 56%. And that, because there's a substantial percentage of the orders are through PPC, and those clicks aren't being included in the sessions, you just get these really high unit session percent numbers. And once we correct, you can see that, the 16.5% conversion rate for PPC, same thing basically, once we correct it for overall and organic here. And then I want to take one somewhat unusual case, and this is want to look at the really high organic conversion rate on this product. So here, once we do the corrections for organic, we still have a 29 almost % conversion rate in organic. And so this is one of those cases where you have something, it's temporarily really high sales because of a seasonality thing. It's an inexpensive product, so it can be bought fairly impulsively. And so there are cases, I mean, we do have products that really do have, there are products that really do have 20 plus, even 40% conversion rates in reality. And this store also does not have subscribe and save.
Yeah.
So this next store is a lot more complicated because
Ellis, can I just quickly get to the
Sure,
comments
of
and then
course.
we'll jump in and finish those. Just want to be respectful of the audience.
Certainly.
Sharon says, in our niches, which really are our niches, 10% is very low conversion rate for the top sellers. Ours are around 40%. Super niches in beauty. Elchin says, hi, Danny and Ellis. Why is there so much difference between the session and PPC clicks? I understood session, unique customer visit, and I think click also. I think what he's trying to say there is the big disparity between the sessions themselves and obviously with the PPC clicks, which is what probably have been covered anyway in the show. Nia says, hello, I was waiting for the episode, and Facebook user said, super helpful info. I wasn't aware of this at all. A nice and quick adjustment to give you much better data. I definitely update our data to reflect this to give us more concise KPIs. Elchin, do you want to just explain your question again, or Ellis? I think I've got a bit of brain fog. Do you want to read that question and see if you understand it as the way I did?
Okay. Why is there so much difference between session and PPC clicks? Basically the idea is, and I'm not sure if it's I mean, I haven't tested this, but the idea is that sessions show well, a session is different than a click. And so insofar as a session, you get like a session cookie in your browser when you're visiting Amazon. And so even if you return to that same page a million times in an hour, it'll only count as one session.
Yeah, so you've got a session and a unique session. So you can have return visitors. So on a traditional website, they'll say, what is your unique visitors rather than total visitors? Because obviously, in most cases, you can have people returning to the website, especially if it's content rich.
Yeah. And then apparently what it is that sessions is not counting. They don't increment that value when you reach the page via PPC. And that's why we can have higher numbers of clicks than we have sessions.
Yeah.
This is especially true. We see this all the time when launching products or when really pushing PPC, not necessarily a launch, but a relaunch or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah. So just a quick overview before we move to the next store. The biggest standout to work this out really is where you can see a clear definition is when you've launched a brand new SKU and you start to run PPC. Obviously, it hasn't fully indexed yet. So there's likelihood of any organic or very little organic traffic in the early days will give you an indication to check if those numbers are off versus being on point.
Yeah. Even more extreme is if your product has launched, it's been established, you've run out of stock for a while and come back in, then you don't have any of the honeymoon advantage of getting more organic placement. And so it can be even more extreme then.
Cool. Should we go into this final store then? Apologies for that. I just want to get the comments in.
Of course, that's great. So let's see. This third one is more complicated because they do have subscribe and save, and they have cross-selling of products among listings, and they have some listings with multiple variants on them. And that complicates the analysis quite a bit. And I'm not including any of the subscribe and save numbers here either, but you should. I shouldn't say you should. If it's a meaningful percentage of your orders, then you should be including it. And so there is like a line here, and I don't know how to interpret this one, and that is no matter what we do, like the unit session percentage, 132%. But even when we correct it, even after correcting it, we're still over 100%. And, I don't know, sometimes you're going to get reporting that you can't interpret it. Could it be that, there are a lot of this, the subscribe and save is substantial here. That could explain it. Another possibility, but it's just theoretical, is that there might be a lot of people placing multiple orders in a single session, but that would also be very weird behavior.
Yeah.
Here's a case in this one where the PPC conversion rate is quite a bit higher than the organic conversion rate. And that goes along here. You can see the percentage of orders coming through PPC is extremely high, almost 80%. So this is a product that we're currently, pushing and trying to get these top of search placements on it. And it's a relatively low conversion rate niche to begin with. And so we're getting typically PPC 10%, but the organic is only 6.8. So that is a case that we do sometimes see.
Yep.
And go ahead, Danny.
No, that's fine. I'm just agreeing. I'm just going along with it. Yep.
Okay. And then there's another case here I want to point out where we're not doing any PPC advertising, and it's not selling much. You can see it was just in this. These are 31-day periods, recent 31-day periods, and there were 12 orders. So in total, so not a high selling product, but no PPC. And the unit sessions percentage, 15.5. When we correct it, we get 14.3%. And that's just pointing out that the unit session percentage is taking the unit sales divided by the sessions. If you want conversion rate, you need orders, not units. And so just even correcting this without having PPC, you'll still be getting a lower conversion rate out at the end. So those are the three stores. And and then I have a summary over here. If
Yep.
for going through next, you want to go to the summary now, the takeaway from all this?
Yeah, I was going to say, if we can just give a top down, if someone's to write that down on the back of a matchbox.
Yeah,
well, a bit more than the matchbox. But
yes, this is more than the matchbox, right?
Because we're listening back on the podcast as well. We want to. It might sound complex without having the view in front of them. So yeah, cool. Let's do the summary.
Okay, so first of all, like I just said, conversion rate is orders divided by clicks or sessions. You could go either way, but it's orders. That's the really important thing. It's not units, because that's just a somewhat different metric. So the unit session percent is apparently the number of units sold, total sold through whatever means, whether it's through PPC, organic, or subscribe and save, divided by the non-PPC sessions. And so as a measure of conversion rate, this value can be, just reading this off, can be greatly inflated for several reasons. First one, it ignores the contribution of PPC sales. It counts the units sold instead of orders, and it ignores subscription sales. When I say ignores them, they're counted in the total orders. So since orders is on top of this fraction here, it's going to be inflating the value. What we need to do to know a real conversion rate is take those out. And so to calculate your real conversion rates, we have these two conversion rates, the overall and the just organic. So the overall conversion rate is going to be, first of all, total orders minus subscription orders divided by your sessions plus PPC clicks. And that would give you your overall conversion rate.
Yeah.
The organic conversion rate is going to be, it's a little bit more complicated, 3 factors on top, total orders minus your PPC orders minus your subscription orders. So that leaves you with just your organic orders, right?
Yeah, and then divided by sessions at the end.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's something just to note, I touched on this ever so briefly. When you want to calculate your PPC orders for an ASIN, it can be complicated when you have listings with multiple variants and when your ASINs are cross-selling on each other. To do it accurately, you would need to do it as accurately as possible. You would need to take the PPC reports for your products and take the same. Well, okay, this is assuming that you only have one ASIN per ad group. You can take the the number of orders on the same SKU, and then you go into the ASIN reports and you have to find all of the orders that happened on that ASIN as well, but from other ASINs. It's probably not worth doing, but if you need to be really accurate, keep that in mind as well. You'll need to use two kinds of reports to get those accurate estimates.
Sounds good. Yeah, the comment here. I'm definitely going to watch this back because I'm a little tipsy. I'm on holiday and on the beach. Love the content. That was Sharon. She's on the piss. And then you can't write this stuff Ellis talks about in the back of a Matchbox. You'll need an Excel sheet, which is a fair comment. But the fact is we need to know all the information, and that gives pretty much the answers. The more you sell through PPC, the higher the unit percentage would be. Amazon attempt to get you to spend more on PPC as it would make you feel better. Your conversion rate is getting better. Okay, I think we pretty much covered everything there. The other thing I won't have time to do this as a show, and it's not enough content, but for another Inside Seller Central, I've got some data here. Amazon in the next couple of weeks or next few weeks, especially in Europe, are rolling out a load of new facility centers. Just got some information in from my contact. So 3 in the UK, 1 in Poland. There's going to be 2 in Italy, 1 in France, 2 in Spain, 1 in Germany. And it says, what is the impact for selling partners? This will change, but not proactively. Committed sellers might notice that some of their products located in our new FCs appear on the Amazon website with a longer delivery promise than normal. We expect the normal delivery times will resume no later than 3 weeks after any item has been stored at the new site. So bear this in mind if you're selling in Europe. The UK ones are all opening across August. Poland's going to be September 6th. Italy is 2 on September 6th, 1 in France, September 6th. 1 in Spain, September 6th. Then the other one in Spain's October 4th, and the other one in Germany is going to be October 25th. So they're obviously trying to keep it out of peak time in terms of Q4, but just be aware of the impact on that. And it says, what is the impact for associates? During the 3 weeks prior to the launch date, contacts should be generated due to extended promised delivery dates to customers. So effectively what they're saying there is they expect more complaints from sellers because they're going to see adjustments as they get shifted in the background. You're probably going to find that you're going to get longer lead times, and if you're always looking at the front end of your listing, etc., be aware of this for when you run in PPC and stuff like that, because obviously that could affect your conversion rate if it's suddenly a promise of 24-hour shipping to 3 weeks in time. We see this where this happened with us as well in COVID, didn't it? It was a very problematic, Ellis, where peak COVID, where people saying it won't be delivered for 10 to 14 days, etc. So just bearing that in mind in Europe, I am going to do another Inside Seller Central soon, but I'm waiting on more information on the performance team, because I know that's what really everyone wants to know, understand what's going on. I've talked about the catalog team. We've talked about the sexy stuff, end of things. The rest of Seller Central, there's going to be some stuff that come up that are interesting, but probably not enough to do a proper show on it. But I want to get a top down on everything what happens in terms of suspensions and the performance team, and now they annotate that. So that should be in the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow I'll be back. We're going to be doing sellers under attack by influencers. I'm going to bring in 2 of our clients, Fee and Cara. Going to be talking about how they've been attacked on social media and through Amazon as well by social justice warriors, etc., and how they managed to turn that around. This is going to be more and more common as we deal with cancel culture, so we'll do a show on that tomorrow. And of course, as long as Sharon's not still pissed by then, we'll have a live back here on Thursday. Ellis, thank you so much for joining us. I know you pulled an all-nighter on the APIs and stuff, so I'll let you get off and get some sleep. And guys, I'll be back here tomorrow. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you then.
Great to see you. Bye-bye.